And so what strategies or tools would you recommend for someone who wants to implement these things and have, clarity over their numbers, but just like doesn't really know where to start?
Yeah, so we have a super cool tool. It's called the Marginal Cost Planner. And it's essentially like what change is going to happen this year compared to next year in terms of my price. So let's say the only change is I raised my price $5,000. Okay, well, I'm $5,000 further ahead. This is over and above inflation. Okay, so okay. And is there any cuts that I can make? Is there any extra stuff that I can sell? Should someone get fired and I hire somebody for less? That'll help your business. Is there an investment I should make? Whether it's a piece of equipment or buying a property or hiring a consultant or whatever it might be that is going to actually save me money or give me some strategic advice to make the next moves and not waste time and money. And so that marginal cost planner, the way it's designed to work is the first part adds revenue. The second part saves you costs, so you're further ahead. And the last part is you're spending money to get better, right? And so most of us don't spend money on getting better. We spend money on getting by. And that's a big distinction. So this tool in about an hour will give you a plan, even without your financials, to show you how you're going to get ahead every single year. And the trick is to be cash flow positive. If you're cash flow negative in a year, even though you're profitable, you're going backwards. You got to be cash flow positive every single year. There was an interesting story about Richard Branson with Virgin Airlines. He wanted to start an airline in England, and so he called up the Boeing and he said, "Look, I want to buy a plane." And they're like, "Forget about it. We're not selling you a plane. You don't have the money. Number one. Number two, we don't know if we're going to get paid, whether you're going to go bankrupt." So he was persistent, and so he eventually called up and said, "Hey, listen, can I get a used plane?" And they had used planes, and can I lease it? And the only thing I ask is that the first lease payment is 30 days from the signing of the contract. So when he got that deal going, he ended up putting money into an advertising campaign that essentially had these tours and cool trips to all these cool places. And in the airline business, you actually pay up front for your flight. So what happened was he, booked, let's say, 50,000 customers to fly to Barbados and Jamaica and British Virgin Islands. And he had their money at, say, $500 a pop. And then he had these planes, and he didn't have to pay for the fuel for 90 days either. So now he's got this great cash flow. He's got the client's money. He's got fuel that has to be paid 90 days later, and the lease payments are also 90 days from the date of the contract. So he's got no cash flow problems, and cash flow is the most important thing. If you have good cash flow, you have no problems. If you have bad cash flow, even if you're profitable, you can still go out of business. So cash flow is king. And so anything you can do to improve that cash flow is going to make a huge difference in the quality of your life, in the stress that you have, in the ability to make payroll, the ability to make smart financial decisions not under duress, like I can't afford this now. It really is a killer. And so if you get the cash flow right, you really don't have any problems.
Oxygen.
It is oxygen. Yeah. Yeah. And if there's an abundance of it, you don't even think about it. If there's a shortage of it, believe me, you're gasping. So for those small businesses out there, it's the number one problem to resolve. Number one of all the problems you have, that has to be resolved first.
Mm-hmm. It's your foundation. And then
it's the foundation.
With a clear head, then you're able to build and grow.
Correct. You're not under stress. Yeah. It just takes the stress away. Yeah. So one of the things that happens is you get into these projects where you're bidding on work, and especially if it's commercial, that's a nightmare. So if you're doing commercial work and you're waiting to get paid 90 days, 120 days, and you get no deposits, you got to have a pretty strong balance sheet or means to borrow to carry yourself through those periods. And then there's always the uncertainty of not getting paid. So the type of work, the design build, the closer you are to the customer, the more likely you are to get paid. The closer you are to the decision making, the more control you have, the less the communication chain is ruined, the less people get in between you and the money, the better situation you're in. So the companies that are more profitable are generally the ones that are design build. There are some exceptions that there's tender build, but really it's like you're getting the job, because they're afraid to trust someone else to do the work. And that's the position you want to be in if you're going to be in the tender build world, because there's irrational competition there, and people are pricing things and they don't know why their prices are what they are, and then you're competing against insanity. And I see these companies and they're underbidding jobs. I know what their cost structure is. I know what the cost of doing business is. And there's only so many subsidies that you can come up with to cover the business, or they're working 7 days a week. And then you see them get divorced 5 years later and their equipment breaks down on the side of the road. And so all the things that you typically see. The problem is, in that short term, you're losing out to those contractors. So the trick is to get the better work, to set the reputation. Design is a great way to get known for great design. Can't emphasize that enough. And then vertically integrate things like planting into your hardscapes, because it's way easier to make money on planting, and it really does finish the job. It's what's going to make your portfolio look amazing. If you're struggling to grow your landscaping business, this video is for you. We're hosting a free business webinar for businesses that are doing between $1 and $10 million in the landscape industry. Now's the time to get to know your numbers. The ignorance is costing you huge. You're spending money that you shouldn't be. You're making poor investment choices. Your cash flow is a mess. You're late on your taxes. You're late on your financial obligations. It's time to clean that up. During the webinar, we'll bring your company clarity on its financials. Click the link below to get your tickets. It's completely free.